The year was 1989. The Berlin Wall came down. The Simpsons premiered. The Disney Renaissance started. George Bush was president. And yours truly didn't exist yet. The 80s were almost done and the 90s were about to begin. It was an exciting time. But it wasn't this for everyone. It was supposed to be a simple bike ride. They were just going to go and rent a movie from a rental store. Just a quick trip out and right back before they knew it. But October 22nd, 1989 would be a day that would change the Wetterling family forever. In many ways, it would change the country forever as well. The 80s might have been a lot of fun, but they had dangers as well. A time when child abductions seemed to be on the rise. It scared many parents, and would lead to many changes that were a part of the 80s, and even after as well. No parent wants to hear the word kidnapped. For the Wetterling family, this was true for almost 30 years. For almost 3 decades, the family wasn't sure what happened to him. They only knew he was taken. Eventually, however, his case would come to a conclusion. It wasn't a happy one, but it was closure. This is the story of how a boy was taken from this world too early from a despicable, disgusting man. A boy who helped change how kidnapping punishments go. This is the murder of Jacob Wetterling. But before I begin, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications as well. Jacob Wetterling was born on February 17, 1978, to Jerry and Patty Wetterling. He was a middle child, having an older sister named Amy, a younger brother named Trevor, and a little sister, Carmen. His dad was a chiropractor, while his mom was a stay-at-home mom. The family lived in St. Joseph, Minnesota, a small town not too far from Minneapolis. Like many small towns, it was a place where many people knew each other, and everyone saw it as safe. Kids would ride bikes in the evening, and parents wouldn't worry. In most ways, Jacob was the poster child of a good kid. He was kind, thoughtful, and gentle. He was known to be polite and considerate. He could be quiet at times, but was warm. He was protective of other kids, especially his younger siblings. He was curious and observant. He loved playing sports and watching them. Like any kid, he also liked to ride his bike. He came from a good family. While they weren't rich or anything, he had good meals, clothes, and the family was stable. He was empathetic, often noticing when someone was hurt or angry, and would ask what was the matter. He attended North Junior High in St. Cloud. There, he had a tight-knit group of friends he would hang out with. His teachers described him as respectful, attentive, and well-behaved. He may have not been Einstein, but he still got good grades. While not at school with his friends, he often spent time outside with them, or at each other's houses. He liked watching movies and riding his bike. Despite loving sports, he wanted to be a vet when he grew up. Jacob was the kind of kid every parent wanted to have. With their loving family and safe town, the Wetterlings had no reason to worry. But that was all about to change. Soon, the town and family would change forever, and it all started with a bike ride to a store. October 22nd, 1989. The family's lives would change forever. It started out normally with them fishing, watching football, and ice skating. That evening, he was at home with his younger siblings and his best friend, Aaron Larson, who was staying the night. Amy was with some friends. Their parents were also spending time with friends as well. They wanted to rent a movie from a store called Tom Thumb and called the parents if they could. While they were resistant, Jerry said yes as long as they had a flashlight with them, and Jacob wore a reflective vest. A neighbor girl named Roselle Jurek babysat Carmen. They went to the store and rented a naked gun and started back. The road isn't much. It was a country road that took about 15 minutes on bike. While there were some houses, it was mostly a lot of woods. While going to and back to get the video, they heard some sounds and some corn. The first time they ignored it. But just as they were mere minutes from home, everything changed. A man came out and walked to them wearing all black. They couldn't see his face. He said that he had a gun and if they didn't follow him, he would shoot. He had a raspy voice. The boys did as they were told. He asked Trevor his age. After Trevor told him, the man told him to run or he would shoot. After grabbing Aaron by the crotch, he told him the same. Then it was Jacob's turn. This was the last time anyone saw him alive, or for the next 27 years. As Aaron ran back, he saw Jacob and the man were gone. Trevor and Aaron ran back and immediately told Roselle what happened. It was close to 9:30 now. She called her dad, who called 911, and the kids' parents. He and Trevor would try to tell the police as best as they could. Soon, an officer was sent, and the group went back to where Jacob was taken. Soon, Jerry and Patty were back home to get the full details. The police weren't sure to believe it at first, as cases like this don't happen there, or really at most places. But it did, and they needed to act fast. When they do happen, children are often killed within hours. For the time being, the best witnesses are two young boys. They tell them how it was a man in black, with black stuff on his face. Because of this, and it being dark, they couldn't see him. But their description is the best they have. This was before the Amber Alert, so they couldn't get any details out to the public immediately. But time was ticking. They had to find Jacob soon, or the thing they would dread the most would happen. The case was under the care of the St. Cloud Department. The sheriff was a man named Charlie Graft. Graft had been in law enforcement for almost 40 years. When he started, he was the only cop in his town. He arrived soon after and got some firefighters to search the area. However, there was no sign of Jacob or the man. There were footprints, found in both adult and child size. There were also tire tracks. While the boys didn't see a car, it's possible it could have been hidden. Investigators believe there was, as the lack of homes meant there were little places to hide. The kidnapper then needed to make a getaway fast. As they looked, a neighbor named Dan Razor saw them. He called the police thinking they were trespassers, only to be told they were cops. They told him what happened. While he never saw Jacob or the man, he did say he saw a car pull up and drive away not long ago. Sadly, he didn't get a good look on the driver or car. Dan himself was not questioned or searched, at least for a long while. In fact, most of the neighbors had no memory of ever being interviewed that night it happened. While they do remember being talked to days or even weeks after, they were not interviewed that night. This was a crucial mistake, as neighbors should be the first people looked at if there isn't a credible suspect. By 3 a.m., the police called off the search with no success. Jacob was just gone. Friends and neighbors of the Wetterlings helped in ways they could by searching themselves and putting up flyers. As days passed, Jacob's case got more attention. A human chain was made in the area as people prayed for a safe return. What started out with just local cops searching for the boy soon extended to FBI and even the National Guard. Helicopters looked for him, and people from other places even tried to help. Jacob's kidnapping had become one of the largest missing person cases in the States. Jacob was wearing a red jacket the night he was taken. Graft would make it into a symbol for Jacob. Anyone looking for him was looking for his jacket. Daytime show host Gerardo Rivera interviewed the family, giving the case more attention. John Walsh, father of kidnapped and murdered boy Adam Walsh, appeared as well. He wanted to remain hopeful, but also said the reality of these situations is dark. The publicity worked as more leads came in about suspicious cars or boys who looked like Jacob. But in the end, they led to more clues and then nowhere. Jerry was desperate enough to talk to psychics, which Patty saw as a waste of time and resources. Jacob's case would eventually get over 7,000 leads, by the time it was solved years later. Years would pass, and there was no Jacob. But his family didn't give up. His mom still had hopes he was alive even years later. It was all she had. Still, even with it unsolved, they had people of interest. But were any of them the man they were looking for, or not? Throughout the years, there were several people looked at. One person looked at early in the case was a neighbor who saw the car, Dan Rasner. Dan was a teacher and a collector of records. At the time, he was 33 and lived with his parents. In 2004, police thought he only made a 911 call to draw suspicion away from himself and told him to confess. He told them he didn't do it though. Some days later, the interview somehow got leaked and reporters started asking him questions. Despite his face being blurred, it was easy for people to figure out it was him. He felt nervous as he knew people were talking about him. Detectives McDonald and Jensen thought he did it. He was home alone that night, had no alibi, and the abduction was close by. Police looked at his mail and convinced Patty to be wired and talk to him. In 2010, police had a warrant to search his yard, which drew more suspicion from the town. While he wasn't a suspect, he was a person of interest. For Dan, it was a nightmare. Despite attempts to draw investigators away, nothing worked. It hurt his whole family, and he thinks the stress from it killed his dad. Despite everything, police found nothing. But to Dan, the damage was done. Even though police quit looking at him, he was treated differently for years. That can't be undone. Many other neighbors and sex offenders were looked at, but all the same came up nothing. It just seemed Jacob's case couldn't be solved. But soon it would be found out the crook was in front of their noses the whole time. Danny Heinrich is the definition of a pitiful man. He grew up in a divorced home with his brothers Tommy and Jacob, and was born in 1963 and lived in Painesville. Unlike Jacob, who was a good boy, Heinrich was a troublemaker and loser, often stealing things in his youth. Due to his troubles, he was taken from his home and became a ward of the state in 1980. During his youth, he met a man named Duane Hart, who hung out with younger boys and bought beer for them. He and the boys liked to hang out in this field they called the Big Valley. Heinrich would eventually drop out of the school and join the National Guard. However, throughout the 80s, he still got in trouble with burglaries and DWIs. He soon started to take after Hart and went after boys. One boy would be a link in the case. On January 12, 1989, 12-year-old Jared Sherrill was skating with some friends in Cold Spring, Minnesota. After he was done, he and his friend Corey went home. After going separate ways, a man pulled up in a car and forced Jared in. After driving for a bit, he sexually assaulted him. After he was done, he let Jared go, but told him if he told who he was, he would kill him. Despite this, Jared told his parents and the police. Jared described the man as best he could, including having a raspy voice and a dark blue car. After Jared showed them the night it happened, the Stearns County soon had a suspect. Danny Heinrich. He and some other men were looked at, and Jared said Heinrich looked familiar. But the car didn't match what Jared remembered. Heinrich was let go. Months later, Heinrich would kidnap another boy and murder him. Despite the similarities of the Jared, Jacob, and other assaulted boys, Heinrich was not looked at that night. It would be a big mistake. Police tried to get any information of Jared they could, but he could not remember enough. In December, police looked at Heinrich. They asked him for an alibi and wanted samples of DNA and clothes. They brought him in for questioning, but they couldn't get anything. Because of this, he was let go. Even though he looked suspicious, there was not enough evidence to convict him. Years would pass, and the case would still be unsolved. But soon a breakthrough would happen with an unlikely person. After living out of town for years, Jared would move back as an adult. He was sure his assault, the other boys, and Jacob's murder were done from the same man. He began asking questions from the other boys, now grown, and locals. Investigators soon looked at Heinrich again. They tested his hair, tested some clothes Jared had when he was abducted. It was a match, but too much time passed for him to be arrested for the crime. After searching his house, though, they found multiple rates of CP. After months in jail, he was given a plea deal in 2016. If he confessed to killing Jacob and showing where his remains were, and assaulting Jared, all charges will be dropped. He accepted the deal. He told everything, including what happened to Jacob. That night in 1989, he drove to St. Joseph in his dark blue 1982 Ford EXP. While there, he saw Jacob and the boys. He put on a dark mask, grabbed his gun, and then took Jacob into his car where he handcuffed him. He had a police scanner in his car and made Jacob lie down while they were far enough out. In Painesville, they pulled into a gravel pit where he sexually assaulted Jacob. After they got back into the car, he saw a patrol car. In a moment of panic, he shot Jacob, killing him, and left him at the site. A few hours later, he tried to bury him with a shovel, but it didn't work well enough. He stole a bobcat and buried him at the site. He threw Jacob's shoes in a ravine. After that, he went home and wouldn't be caught for 27 years. He would also move Jacob's body about a year later. Heinrich worked for a laborer for 11 years before being caught. He has talked to friends and coworkers about the Wetterling case before. Police then had him point to where he buried Jacob. For Heinrich, this site had a lot of significance for him. It was a part of his childhood. The place he buried Jacob was a place he called the Big Valley. As they looked in the area, an officer noticed something sticking out of the mud. It was something red. They dug it out. It was Jacob's jacket. It was decayed, muddy, and torn. But it was his. And below it were his remains. "27 years. That's how long it took to solve this case. For those 27 years, St. Joseph lived in fear, not knowing what happened to him. But it was worse for none than his family. His brother Trevor felt guilty for years. He felt that he betrayed his brother by leaving him behind. Aaron felt guilty as well, as Jacob was his best friend. Jerry and Patty had to endure what no parent should. For years, they had to wonder what happened to their son. They hoped he was alive, but deep down, they knew the truth was harsher. Years later, they had to find out the truth out of the killer's mouth. Both of them became child safety activists. They would get a new law passed called the Jacob Wetterling Crimes Against Children and Sexually Violent Offender Registration Act. This meant that all states must have sex offenders maintained. Despite this, Patty feels it doesn't work well enough. Jacob would be on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, becoming one of the most recognizable faces. Some years later, Jacob's case would get the Amber Alert passed in Minnesota to make sure kidnapped kids are saved as early as possible. In 1990, the couple established the Jacob Wetterling Resource Center. It educates people about child abductions and how to prevent them. Despite some struggles early on, they are still married. The kids are now grown and have their own kids now. Heinrich was sentenced to 20 years in prison. As per the deal, he didn't get charged for Jacob's murder. He will be released in 2036, but he can be out as early as 2030 on parole. He says once out, he wants to leave Minnesota, as everyone hates him, though he might find out it's more than Minnesota. Jacob's red shirt was found. It was beaten, but still intact. It was the confirmation he was truly gone. But now the remains of Jacob truly got a burial. He was buried in St. John's Abbey Cemetery. Finally, it was over. Now he can rest. Jacob's disappearance and murder changed a lot. It made more people scared of stranger danger. It made police see that every person needs to be checked. It showed for families to never give up, even when it's unlikely it would be unsolved. Jacob was an all-American boy. He should have been an all-American man. But that was taken away from him by a coward. Jacob will always be remembered fondly, while Heinrich will be remembered as he was, a monster. If police had just interviewed everyone, he would not have been missing for 27 years. He may still have died, but he wouldn't be missing. They also wasted time on the wrong man, hurting his reputation. Things have changed since he was taken. Amber alerts, more cameras, everyone being questioned, and stricter laws for offenders. He may be gone, but he has saved many more. And that red jacket will carry his memory forever.
My whole name is Jacob Wetterling. My favorite food is steak. My favorite color is blue. My best friend is Aaron Larson. I don't really have a favorite song. My favorite game is Clue. My favorite thing to do most is watch football. My favorite sport is football. And my favorite TV show is The Cosby Show. What I want to be when I grow up is a football player. My favorite hobby is collecting football cards. I don't have a favorite book, and my newest friend is cade.